Well, welcome into another Johnny Torch live broadcast number 245. And today we bring you Torch News Roundup number 283. Yes, well, it's a middle of the week Torch News Roundup. It's a little bit of an unusual prospect, but these are unusual times. How are you out there? This is Johnny Torch coming to you live from high atop stately Torch Tower overlooking the fair metropolis below. And wanted to get another broadcast in before the holidays. I'm probably not going to have a lot of time to do too many live streams around then. And as I was preparing, we got some breaking news, and I had to revamp the show a little bit to accommodate. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got some exciting topics to cover in the time before us. Before we get into all that, though, I have to, of course, remind you to check out The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. Casebook number 11, Man of Our Times, is now on Indie Planet. Can't make it any easier for you to pick up a copy now because we've got the digital download on Global Comics. That's been available for a couple of weeks now. And now Indie Planet, which I said online, it's like Halley's Comet. They take about 6 months, if not more, to get a comic listed. But you can get a hard copy, the kind of copy I prefer you to get, an actual paper book, if you go to Indie Planet. And of course, you can find all this information on my website, and the link is in the description below. We've got Man of Our Times now available. I'm hard at work on episode 12, Casebook 12, which is going to be called Nursery Crimes. Yes, the final issue of what we're calling season 1. And of course, Pencil Neck is back, and he's wrecking havoc. It's a different kind of tale because Pencil Neck has been released from the asylum wing of Lockmore Prison as allegedly a sane and powerless man. However, Bullets knows things are not always as they seem, as Stark City has embraced him as a changed man and something of a man about town now. And Bullets is not able to just come up and whack him on the jaw, so to speak. We have to follow the mystery and see exactly what Pencil Neck is planning, because Bullet's friends are in jeopardy, and he'll have to use his wits like never before to uncover the mystery on what has happened to them. You can check that out. Of course, I also want to remind you, my Johnny Torch Delusions of Grandeur tour is kicking off this Saturday. And for 3 Saturdays in a row, we are going to be showing up, rolling into your town, as it were. And either it's going to be an unmitigated disaster or it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping for the latter. And I'm sure it will be. We're going to have, of course, the aforementioned Man of Our Times most recent issue. They are available. As I've said for the past couple of weeks, we got a lot of stuff. We've got goodie bags that's going to have everything but the kitchen sink in it. We're going to have calendars this year, something new. We've got, of course, the usual favorites, magnets, stickers, all kinds of swag for you if you're going to be in town and show up for the Delusions of Grandeur tour. My first appearance in well over a year. My last appearance last year in August. And so if you'd like to come up and press the flesh, as it were, and peruse my wares, I can't think of a better time than this coming Saturday. You could check my website. The link is in the description if you want to find out where I'll be, if I'm coming near you in the holiday tour coming up in the next couple of weeks. So we've got that taken care of. And of course, you can find me on Twitter, all that good stuff. And let's get to a segment now that I've been putting off for a while. So we're going to get to this now. Before we get into any of our stories, let's see. We've got our famous mailbag segment. And of course, our mailbag segment, if I can get the notes up here, or I've got the Okay, our mailbag segment is all of you fine people have deigned to write to me in the comments. And if you haven't checked it out yet, please check out my most recent video. We did a review of Loki season 2 last week. And, it was a decent show. I go into it for about a half hour, so you can check that out. But no comments on the Loki review. It's getting some good views though. I'm pleased with that. But past couple of weeks, or I should say, I guess basically over the past month, I've gotten these comments and I will address them. One of my most popular videos, of course, is my Phantom of the Opera review, the Claude Rains Phantom of the Opera. Of course, a lot of people love that movie. A lot of people love Phantom of the Opera, and of course, Halloween being right around the corner. I got a lot of extra views on that. Joseph Cook, 6442, wrote with this comment: I always love the image of the mask and violin with Lullaby of the Bells playing. Ah, yes. Great movie. Great movie. I really enjoyed that one. I always make sure to get that one on every year when I'm doing a Halloween marathon. And as I mentioned, I want to do some more horror reviews for classic horror. I've got to get back into the swing of things with that. Uh, Also, a couple of days ago, it said it was my 10th anniversary on YouTube. Now, I did do some research. I checked that out. It's my 10th anniversary as a subscriber, but I didn't do any live videos. I don't think until 2 years later. So I haven't been a YouTube broadcaster for more than 8 years this year. So we'll keep you updated on that as that anniversary rolls around. All right, number two in our mailbag segment, John Sims 6323. Another one of my most popular videos, of course, is the Wonder Woman review and retrospective of the Linda Carter series. Of course, that's really popular, and it's a great video. I must admit, I'm kind of hoping to start getting to do videos again. I really would love to do the same kind of thing for the Incredible Hulk series because that's another show that's near and dear to my heart. But we already did the Wonder Woman one a few years ago, and John Sims writes saying, the writing was poor, but Linda Carter was what kept us all watching. Yeah, I can see where you say that. I mean, there are a lot of forgettable episodes, and it's kind of par for the course for television, particularly back then when things were episodic, and you just had to come up with a great written show, or you kind of had some bland stuff there. But of course, Linda Carter elevated it, and she really is one of the greatest cast superhero roles. Is Linda Carter. I've been watching the Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, and basically they're the king and queen of best cast superhero roles. And so you really can't take that away from Linda, the appeal that she really took that role and elevated it like not many actresses could, particularly in those days as well. Okay, my Ahsoka review got a couple of interesting comments. That was a very popular one. I was really pleased to see a lot of people tuned in for my Ahsoka review. One of our friends who always is in the comments in this channel, I thank him a lot for this. Bilbo Baggins 9451 said, "Who's doing the choreography in these shows? It's hard to take any lightsaber fight seriously when a character turns their back to their opponent completely and blocks the saber while barely gripping theirs. It just looks like a cheap wallpaper opportunity. And people thought the fights in the prequels looked unrealistic." Um, I don't know. I really wasn't paying attention too much to like the technical skills of it. I know that people were complaining about Rosario Dawson not being that capable as a duelist, and I think I probably even said in the video, I think that was by design to some degree because Hayden is just so good. Hayden Christensen is just so good with the lightsaber that you have to bring your A game with him. And, it's quite possible Rosario Dawson wasn't really up to the task. But on the other hand, like I said, there is the possibility that they wanted to make her look weaker because, of course, Anakin is well, technically not a master, but, he's a master of swordplay. And I don't think she was supposed to look as good as him in action. Another interesting comment in the Ahsoka comments was Aaron Mayberry said, "You hated Andor? Oof." You get this a lot. A lot of people prized Andor, and I really didn't like it very much. As I've said before, it was well acted, well constructed, well put together, but it wasn't Star Wars in the strictest sense. I didn't enjoy it like I enjoyed, well, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know that they've taken a lot of blows from people who are not satisfied with Disney Star Wars, and of course, you do have reason for those feelings, but it just didn't feel like Star Wars to me. I'm not going to belabor the point, especially when Bilbo Baggins comes in with a stellar comment right after that pretty much sums up my feelings. Bilbo addresses Aaron Mayberry by saying, Andor felt nothing like Star Wars. Yes, on a technical and a writing standpoint, it was well done. However, I watch a Star Wars show to get a space opera, an updated serialized adventure story, not some gritty, overly serious, and calculated drama. He's 100% right there. I digress. Just felt like such a huge departure to the point where it felt nothing like Star Wars. I get it, I get it. You can't do the same crap over and over again. You have to branch out. I'm all for Star Wars going in different avenues, but you need a core, and fundamentally, Andor lacked that core which made Star Wars what it was. Instead, it was just a down in the dirts, Blade Runner esque political drama. I'm not saying I need weird, uncanny CGI Luke to show up or whatever, but something resembling an update on the classic serials of good versus evil. And again, I can't agree more. So Bilbo, you got the thumbs up from me and the heart emoji. And it's true. I mean, I can't say that Andor was poorly produced, but it didn't feel enough like Star Wars. It felt too pretentious. It felt super serious, slow moving. These are things that I don't associate with Star Wars. I don't really think people tune in. It's sort of the grittiness of these kind of Netflix shows and Game of Thrones, all these things. It's kind of tainted television to the point where everybody expects every show to be like that. And that's kind of why I said I wasn't crazy about Daredevil. This is another unpopular opinion I have. I wasn't a fan of the Netflix Daredevil in the same way I'm not a fan of Andor. You have to have the tent pole core to the genre. And with Star Wars, it's fast, it's bright, it's flashy. You can do the political intrigue and the drama, but it can't be dull as dishwater and boring and pretentious. In the same way, Daredevil needs to be a high flying, acrobatic character. He can't be a guy in a black leotard and punching people in an alley. It needs to be that high flying adventure. And people appreciate Daredevil mostly for the grittiness, but it's lacking that core element that would really take it higher. And that's why I'm hoping now that it's in the MCU, they're going to take it in the direction it should be in. So one can only hope. All right. So that's it for our mailbag segment. Thank you for everyone who was written in. And of course, if you want your comment, I'm pointing to you right there at the screen. If you want your comment read, be sure to write a comment in the comment section of any of the videos. And whenever I have a chance, I remember to pull out the old mailbag and read your comments live and on the air. All right, let's get to the show at large now. And let's start off with the breaking news. That's what everybody's tuning in for. Let's get the breaking news out of the way. Apparently, now this is just broken, and so I'm not sure exactly how reliable this is. I really hesitate to talk about rumor and stuff, but apparently Deadline, I think, has broken the story that Pedro Pascal has been cast as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, in the new MCU Fantastic Four movie. Now, again, I don't know exactly how reliable this is because this news just broke, but apparently, if Deadline broke the news, they're usually pretty reliable. So we're going to go with this that Pedro Pascal has been cast as Reed Richards. Now, let me read the copy first. This is some copy I found on the computer. According to Slash Film, after much speculation, wondering, fan casting, and impatience, word has come out, and film sources can confirm that Pascal will be starring as Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic. The deal is done and should be announced soon. Deadline, meanwhile, is a little less definitive, but adds insiders add scheduling is still being worked out, but multiple sources close to the negotiations are saying it's heading in the right direction for Pascal to do this and his other future projects. Now, I just got um, some news earlier on today that they said that Pedro Pascal is probably not going to be, at least physically, on The Mandalorian anymore. Now, since that news broke, that kind of makes this a little bit more. It makes it make more sense because he's probably still going to be able to do the voiceover work. And to be honest with you, I don't think he really was on set for all of last season, was he? But if he's not going to be on set for Mandalorian and he's got some other projects lined up, he's probably going to be able to handle working his schedule around a Fantastic Four movie. Now, what do we think about this? Now, of course, Pedro Pascal has been the Mandalorian in Star Wars. He played what's his name, Maxwell Lord, in Wonder Woman 84 as the villain. So he's no stranger to genre films and shows. Uh he's not my first pick as Reed Richards. Of course, they wanted Adam Driver apparently at first, and he passed on it. I would say Pascal is the better of the two options, but again, I don't know. I don't really see him as a Reed Richards. I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he could pull it off, but again, there is so many more better options out there. But again, they're going to try to do the whole diversity thing, and I feel like if they're going to use a Colombian actor as Reed Richards, this is kind of what we went through with Jessica Alba as Sue Storm in the original, the early 2000s Fantastic Four. You can kind of get away with that. I mean, if as long as we don't have a black lesbian playing the Thing, and this is their take on diversity, I can live with it. But again, there were probably so many other better actors that could be chosen for this role. Sources are saying that Vanessa Kirby is leading the speculated to be leading the actresses for Susan Storm, the Invisible Woman, and she looks a lot more like the character, I suppose. I'm not too familiar with her. I haven't. She was in that Fast and the Furious spinoff, I think. I don't know her too well, but I think she kind of looks the part. Again, this is not really dream casting, but if they can at least kind of look the part, that's half the battle, I suppose. So this is looking like it's going to happen, folks. It's again not official. I don't think it's I don't think it's 100% confirmed, but they're probably going to make the announcement pretty soon that that's the deal. That's the real deal. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you going to need to vent about this? Are you going to praise this casting choice? Let me know. Let me hear all of it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I am gonna be, you know me. I'm kind of a glass half full guy when it comes to these things. I think they can probably pull off a decent Reed Richards with Pedro Pascal, but at the same time, I was just as happy with John Krasinski, however you pronounce his name. They could have just left him in the role and everybody would have been happy. But again, I think they have to do we've got to have some kind of, diversity casting. We have to make sure not everybody's lily white. Otherwise, the ESG score or whatever goes down. So again, not perfect casting, but we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, moving on to our next story here. Let's see. Let's talk about the Ghostbusters 4. Is that what this is? Ghostbusters 4 trailer? that just came out a couple of weeks ago, or last week, was it? I don't know. I have no comprehension of time. It seems like it's been a while. All right, let's see. The new Ghostbusters film apparently is going to be called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And apparently they're taking a lot of inspiration from the old Ghostbusters cartoon from the 80s. And to me that's a good idea. I think that's a good thing because they were really very creative in the 80s with the Ghostbusters cartoon. They had a lot of memorable looking ghosts and stuff. I feel like this is like something that they were doing with Scooby-Doo 2, with the Scooby-Doo second movie, where it was like, let's take the ghosts, quote unquote, from the first season, the original season of Scooby-Doo, and put them in live action. That's kind of what I feel like they're going to try to do here with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Let's see. According to the synopsis, it says in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the Spengler family decides to leave Somerville, Oklahoma, and go back to where it all started, the iconic New York City firehouse, and help the original Ghostbusters who developed a top secret research lab to take busting ghosts to the next level. But when the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes a mysterious and evil force known as the Death Chill, Ghostbusters new and old must join forces to protect their home and save the world from a deadly and unpredictable fate that unknowingly could affect Earth's history with a second ice age. All right, so that definitely sounds interesting. This whole thing about the death chill and the frozen, you know, landscape here. Let's see if we can get some more images up here. Looks very interesting for a Ghostbusters movie. This is like terrain that they haven't really covered before. See the firehouse all covered in ice and frozen. I'm really glad they took it back here to New York and the firehouse and everything. We get to see the Ecto One in action again, and yeah, I mean that's all I really want out of a Ghostbusters movie is the original Ghostbusters having a decent role, the firehouse, the Ecto One. It looks like we got the whole cast back. You really don't get a good look at them. This is kind of just a teaser, so you really don't get to focus on them. But Sienna Miller and what's his name, Wolf Finhard or something, they're all in it. And Paul Rudd and the mom are actually busting ghosts now, which I thought was pretty cool. So it looks like the team is growing. The team is growing, and they are going to fall back on the original Ghostbusters as well. I got a couple of screen shots here of them. Let's see. Of course, here is Ray Stantz and Dan Aykroyd. Boy, he's a trooper. He's been keeping the flame burning for Ghostbusters pretty much since the beginning. And without him, this probably would have passed into old school and lost its relevance. But he's been trying to keep it going, and it's really sad that they waited so long. And of course, there was a feud between Harold Ramis and Bill Murray that kind of, I think, screwed things up for a long time. Sadly, Egon no longer with us, of course. But yeah, we have Patton Oswald in it. I not a fan of his, but a lot of people are like getting soured on the film because they don't like him personally. I'm of the mind that you can separate the art from the artist. I mean, I don't like him personally, but he's a funny guy. I liked him I liked his character on Agents of Shield. I thought he was a lot of fun there. Can he bring that kind of energy to the role in this film? Yeah, it's possible. I don't think necessarily, in my case anyway, would he ruin the film and his performance ruin it. There's the Indian actor, which I don't have his name here and I won't be able to pronounce, but he was from Eternals and Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's always a lot of fun. He's going to have a part in this as well. So there's that. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, we've got to have, of course, Bill Murray as Peter Venkman, Dr. Peter Venkman in the film. So we know he's in. When they're showing them in the trailer, I have to imagine they have a decent role this time. I mean, they had a good amount of screen time in the last film, but it was all one scene, basically. I think they're going to try to tie them into the film a little bit more in this case. That was my only complaint with the first film, Ghostbusters Afterlife, was that it was very low key the whole first like hour. Then we get the ghost busting starting in like the beginning of the second half hour, and then we get the other Ghostbusters, the OG guys, back in the last half hour. And I would like to have that like all melded all through the movie. That would probably work out better than just like sticking them in at the end and stuff. But there's been rumors that Walter Peck is going to be in this film. I think that'd be a great idea. I don't know if that's confirmed yet or not. William Athson, if I remember correctly, is the name of the actor. Um, of course, the famous confrontation between he and Venkman in the first movie. That would be fun. I would like to see if they could, even work Janusz in from Ghostbusters 2. That would be funny because Peter McNichol is always a riot. I was watching him in Dracula Dead and Loving It just recently, and I remember just how great his energy is. He was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, as a matter of fact, playing a very different character than Janusz. But it would be interesting. Of course, I think Dan Aykroyd has said that he's hoping that they're going to do at least 4 Ghostbusters films. This would be the second out of 4, so maybe we will see some of those things cropping up from time to time. And well, there's something you don't see every day. So yeah, I'm excited about this. As a longtime Ghostbusters fan, I think they're in the right direction. They're moving this into the right direction. I thought it was a good first step with Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I think they're progressing very well. Of course, Ernie Hudson is in it as Winston. They didn't have a screen cap of that, so I don't have a picture of him here. Sorry to say, but he is in the trailer, so we all know he's going to be in it. Of course, it's rumored Annie Potts as Janine is going to be back. So, probably Sigourney Weaver will do at least a cameo as Dana. And so, we got the whole cast back. So it's probably going to be, it's going to be exciting. They could, ostensibly do something with Oscar, eventually bring him back. So they got a lot of stuff they can play with going forward in the Ghostbusters franchise. And this film is going to be out March. Let me see. What is it? Does it say? March. Something's sticking in my head. It's late in March, but I don't have it here, the copy. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. I think it's March 29th. And let me know what you think in the comments below about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And we now will take on our final subject of the evening. We have the Madam Web trailer, just was released today as well, starring Dakota Johnson, pretty Dakota Johnson. And this is kind of a revamped look at Madam Web, who in the comics was like a septuagenarian, if not an octogenarian. And, this is like what everybody's saying is like a CW show. It looks like a CW show only because the whole cast is like young and beautiful. You know what I mean? They could have gotten Helen Mirren, because if she would do Shazam 2, I'm pretty sure they could have gotten her for, Madam Web. And that would be a comic accurate casting. But again, I'm not going to object to seeing Dakota Johnson by any means in this role. I don't think she has a costume because Madam Web doesn't really have a costume. She has like a red dress, like a burgundy dress, and she sits in this throne among spider webs or whatever. And in this case, Dakota Johnson's wearing a red leather jacket. And the synopsis reads, meanwhile, in another universe, meaning this is not the MCU. This is clearly Sonyverse stuff. So it may or may not tie into the MCU at large. Sony has been hoping and praying that they're going to get integrated with the Disney's MCU. Disney's MCU is still not having it. They're like, you can take the leftovers. They gave him Michael Keaton as the Vulture, and they said, do whatever you want. That's fine. We're not going to use him again. And they stuck him in cameos in Morbius. And nothing has come out of any of this. And they got like, what's his face? Venom. Eddie Brock, they put him in the end of No Way Home, and they just have been like tentative to do anything. And the thing that's kind of I don't understand why they just don't go back to like Tobey Maguire or even Andrew Garfield at this point. Maybe it's a contract thing where they can't go back to them as Spider-Man actors, because they keep making these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. They got Spider-Man villains and adjacent characters, but it's all well and good to do the origin of the villain, and then you want to bring in Spider-Man, but they just can't bring in Spider-Man. So I don't know what they're going to do here. All right. Meanwhile, in another universe, in a switch from the typical genre, Madam Web tells the standalone origin story of one of Marvel Publishing's most enigmatic heroines. The suspense driven thriller stars Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, a paramedic in Manhattan who may have clairvoyant abilities. Forced to confront revelations about her past, she forges a relationship with three young women destined for powerful futures, if they can all survive a deadly present. Confirmed cast members include Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, Isabella Merced, Tahir Rahim, Mike Epps, Emma Roberts, and Adam Scott. The movie is believed to be dated for February 16th, 2024, but the trailers only say coming soon. So, with the writing and acting strike over, these things should probably fall into place now, but that's why they were probably tentative putting that trailer together to put a definite release date on it. So I don't know. There was rumors about the story. I don't really know. I think they said that the a new writing team was brought in. Originally, they were saying this was going to be about, and it still could be about, young Ben and May Parker, and somehow the bad guy wants to go back in time and kill Spider-Man before he's born or as a child, something like that. And that's kind of where this is going to come into play. Now, I don't know. I really don't know about this. This is, for those of you uninitiated, this is what Madam Web looked like in the comics originally. Very strange, a very strange character. I remember her mostly from the cartoons, like the '90s cartoons, where she was played by Stan Lee's wife, Joan Lee, and she's sort of pulling the strings about what's going to happen in the future, and tries to lay down a path of destiny for Spider-Man, and this kind of confusing stuff. I really don't know if this is a character that can carry her own film, but I suppose we'll soon find out. Let's see. Now they have some interesting looking characters here. Like, for instance, they have what I'm calling Dark Spider-Man. Now this is another thing that reminds people, I think, of like the CW, because this looks like the Black Flash or the Dark Flash or whatever he was. It's kind of like that, you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't have a lot to say. He's in a cool costume and he's running around causing trouble. This character on the left, I don't know this character from Adam. She's apparently Iron Spider, I would guess, because that's reminiscent of Spider-Man's Iron Spider costume, where he had the weird Doc Ock type tentacles on his back, while he had like an armor suit created by Tony Stark in the comics back in the day. I guess that's who this is. I really haven't kept up with all this. I know back in, I want to say the early 2000s, that's kind of the last time I was collecting comics before it, all went to crap, all went woke and all went down the crapper. But J. Michael Straczynski, I think, was writing comics about this with the spider totem, and it was sort of like a metaphysical thing, and it was destiny and all this crap. He's a good writer, and he made it as palatable as possible, but it really wasn't that interesting, because Spider-Man's not really a character of destiny like that. That's not really what people gravitate to him for. They want to see him busting, bank robbers, the Sandman, and Electro and stuff like that. You really don't want to see him as some kind of a character of destiny that's destined to go back and forth in time. And, I don't know. You got to do different things, but that's kind of like not in his wheelhouse. But the villain looks pretty capable. I think he looks interesting. I mean, he's kind of reminiscent, I guess, of the black suit Spider-Man from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know any of these characters. At first, I thought maybe they were trying to do something with the Spider-Man from the future, Spider-Man 2099 or whatever. But I think they used him in Across the Spider-Verse Part 2 or whatever that was. I still haven't seen that one. I don't know. Uh, I think the whole success or failure of this film is going to ride on Sydney Sweeney. Everybody wants to see Sydney Sweeney as Spider Woman. She's playing the Jessica Carpenter Spider Woman. Now, this is the second Spider Woman. This is not Jessica Drew, who was the first Spider Woman with the red and yellow costume. Supposedly, Olivia Wilde is directing that story, that film for Sony. I don't know if that's still the case. It's kind of like in development hell, but everybody's going to want to see Sydney Sweeney in a skin tight Spider Woman costume. That's going to be the draw of this. And they only give you a glimpse of her in the trailer. This is pretty much all you see of her, but she looks great. I mean, it looks like a pretty good depiction, a pretty accurate depiction of her from the comics. I think the comics, she had the white eyes, which is something that they sometimes adapt, sometimes don't, but I think it looks better without it. In this case, because it's Sydney Sweeney. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, my first thought when seeing the trailer is it's more like, needless to say, the Marvels is in the process of bombing big time right now. And I would like to see the Marvels, but I'm just too busy. It's the holiday season, and I'm probably not going to get a chance to see it in theaters. And to me, it's no big loss because I wasn't a big fan of the original Captain Marvel movie. And I'm probably, I never seen the Ms. Marvel TV show. I'm probably not going to be overjoyed with that film, but I do think that it's kind of getting the shaft because, everybody passed judgment on that film long before it came out. And I think to an extent, people are going to do the same thing here. They're going to pass judgment on, oh, it's, four chicks in a superhero movie. It's going to be lame and this and that. And it may or may not be, but you got to give it an opportunity. You got to give it a chance. At least I'm going to give it a chance to see if the next trailer maybe will impress me more, let's say. But I feel like there was more action in the Marvels trailers than anything we've seen here. This is just like, what was that Tom Cruise movie they did a couple of years ago? I think Emily Blunt was in it. I saw some of it on TV, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I think it was originally called Live, Kill, Repeat or something like that. And that was, I think it's called Edge of Tomorrow now, or some kind of generic movie. At the end of it all, they called it that. But I guess this is kind of what they're doing with this, where it's basically she just keeps going back in time to change things, and that's kind of her power. I don't know. I don't know. But again, I think this is only a teaser. It's kind of hard to judge it on a teaser. I mean, I would like to think that there's some more action in this. I would really like to see the girls in costume a lot more. But again, you know, they're selling this mostly on the thriller aspect, the suspense aspect. It's not being sold as an action movie. And I have a feeling that the girls are only going to be in costume for the last 20 minutes, one of those type things. It's probably an hour and a half movie with like 20 minutes in costume. I'm guessing that's probably where we're getting. And again, I don't know. I would probably bet that the Marvels is going to be more exciting than this. But again, it's going to depend how interested you are in Dakota Johnson's Madam Web and Sydney Sweeney's Spider Woman. It could be a good time for that reason alone. It may be. I'll give it that. I'll give it every opportunity. So, what do you think? Let me know what you think. Are you excited for Madam Web? Are you going to get caught up in Madam Web's web or Spider Woman's web? Is it going to be something that entices you to step into the parlor of Madam Web, so to speak? I'm making it sound a whole lot more interesting than the trailer looked. They should hire me for the promo on this. That's probably what they should do. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below about Madam Web. All right, and so that's all we've got for this week. If I don't see you again in the near future, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Be sure to give thanks to the good Lord Almighty. and enjoy the holidays. I'm sure I'll probably get another show off before the end of the year, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But make sure you check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. Our most recent issue is now available everywhere. You can check me out if you can make it to the New England Delusions of Grandeur tour while I make a few stops around the New England area. And so until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.